friends, welcome back to our channel if you've seen our videos before, and if you're new, my name is Abby, and today I am going to be combining two of my favorite things, books and Disney princesses. So today I am going to be doing the Disney Princess book tag. I was tagged for this tag by our friends Nina and Heather over at Wrestling with Disney and The Disney Housewife. I will link both of them down in the description. If you're not following these ladies yet, you should be, especially if you are into bookish content, because they've both been doing a lot more hauls and reviews and book chats, and it's making me very happy. I remember seeing this book tag make the rounds of BookTube years ago now, but it's only just now made it into the Disney YouTube community. So if you are a reader and you love Disney princesses and you love books, I'm totally tagging you. I don't know who's already been tagged, so I'm not going to tag anybody officially, but tag. You're it. I will leave all of the questions down in the description so that if you want to do this yourself, you can totally do that, and it's going to be super easy for you. And now, without further ado, let's get into the tag. Question 1 is Snow White, your favorite classic. This one's actually really easy. This was the easiest one of all of them because it's The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. This edition is from the Pixie Dust subscription service. I will link up in a card where I opened this in the Magician's Nephew mystery box. But look at the wood between the worlds! It looks so magical! I love it! I said this was the easiest question to answer because this is my favorite book of all time. I know, that's a big statement, and it took me years to finally figure out what that favorite book is, but it's this one. Fun fact. I love the whole series a lot. They are my favorite classic series, but this book, I don't know, it just means so much to me. The first time I read it as an adult, it just hit different, and I just love it with all of my heart, and it is my favorite book, and I go back to it over and over and over again. And this is the edition actually that I have like underlined my favorite bits and lines, and sometimes a lot of it, because this book means the world to me, and the whole series does, but this one particularly is my fave. So this is my favorite classic, for sure. Hands down. Easy peasy. Let's move on. Question number 2 is Cinderella, a book that kept you reading past your bedtime. Most recently, that would be this one. This is The Lost Girl of Astor Street by Stephanie Morrill. How do I explain how good this book is? This I just finished not even a week ago when I'm filming this, and oh my gosh, it's so good. Like, if you like mysteries, if you like historical fiction, you definitely should check this one out. This is a mystery set in 1924 in Chicago. We follow Piper. This is Piper on the cover. Also, this cover is beautiful. We follow Piper, whose best friend Lydia has disappeared, and she takes it upon herself to solve the case. I love a good detective story. I love a good mystery. This one kept me hooked, and I couldn't put it down, and I loved every second of it. The vibes, the feeling, the mystery, the characters, it was just flawless. I loved every bit of it, and I would absolutely read more Piper Sale mysteries. Please, Stephanie Morrill. I don't know that she's writing more, but like, I would read more. If she wanted to make this a series, I would absolutely read another one. So this was great. Highly recommend this for sure. Question number 3, Aurora, your favorite classic romance. I love a lot of classic romances, but I think this is an easy choice for me because hands down, it's gotta go to Anne and Gilbert. I love Anne Shirley and Gilbert Blythe. They are the OG rivals to lovers, and I just love them. I just love them. So that's why I picked Anne of the Island, because this is kind of the first one where that romance kind of kicks off. In the other books, they're still in that kind of rivals to friends stage, and then this one is where they both kind of realize, oh, I have feelings for the other one, and I love them. I love them a lot. Question number 4 is Ariel, a book about making sacrifices and not giving up on your dreams. For this one, I went with Thief by Savannah Roberts. Particularly, I am thinking of the character of Grayson, who, I don't know if this is a spoiler. It's not really a spoiler. You can kind of tell from the beginning. Grayson is Robin Hood. This is set in kind of a futuristic fantasy world, so there's like some almost sci-fi elements, but it's not really a sci-fi story. There's a tiny hint at a magic system, but we haven't really seen that much of it yet in the series. There's 2 books out right now, and they are addicting and amazing. And the character of Grayson really is the one that this made me think of. Gray is the male lead in this, and I think there's some chapters from his perspective, if I'm not mistaken. I know there are in the 2nd book. I think most of this one is from Marion. Gray has kind of taken on the mantle of outlaw Robin Hood. He's, you know, a hero, and he is determined to help people as much as he can in this kind of dystopian-esque world. When he meets Marion, he is determined to kind of protect her as much as possible and keep her safe because he really cares about her, and it's really sweet, and it just gives me all the feelings. And Gray is just... I love Gray so much. This whole series is kind of Gray coming to terms with how many sacrifices he's actually made and how comfortable he is with that, and realizing what he wants in life, really, and what he's kind of been forced into. Whether or not he wants the mantle of Robin Hood, whether or not he wants to be that, or if he just wants to walk away and let the world burn, essentially. And it's great. It's great. I don't know how to tell you to read these books, but like, if you love adventure stories, check these out because they're so good. There's quite a bit of violence, but like, so good. Question number 5 is my favorite. It's Belle. I'm actually wearing Beauty and the Beast ears because, you know, Belle is the bookworm. We love it to see it. And question 5 is for Belle, a book with a smart, independent main character. For this one, I went with The Screaming Staircase and just the general Lockwood and Company series by Jonathan Stroud. Lucy is the coolest. This is a series about a team of essentially teenage Ghostbusters. It's an alternate world where there are ghosts running rampant in England and only young people can see them. There are these agencies of investigators that employ young people, tweens, teens, to go and take care of the problem, which is the ghosts. And so Lucy, our main character, arrives in London and joins up with this very small agency, Lockwood and Company, run by Lockwood and his friend George. And so she joins them on their investigations, and just, I love Lucy. That's not the TV show. I've actually never watched I Love Lucy, but the character of Lucy in this series I love. She's so cool. She kicks butt. She's got really cool power abilities and senses and powers, and she can do some damage with that sword. I just think she's the coolest, and she's definitely one of the most independent main characters that I know and love. Question number 5 is Jasmine, a book with a character who challenged the social norms of their world. For this one, I went with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is a chunky book, 846 pages, but it's so good. Particularly the character, I think, who challenges social norms is Norrell himself. This is a story that takes place between the years 1806 and 1817 in England, and it follows Norrell, who is the last practical magician in England, and he takes on this apprentice, Jonathan Strange. So it's kind of the story of them going from teacher and student to friends to rivals to enemies, and kind of back to friends again. Norrell is the character I thought that challenges societal norms. He's very much an introvert. He lives in his house, he has his library, he reads his books, he doesn't really like people, he doesn't talk to people. He's only got one servant whose name is Childermass, and he's a huge character in here, and I love Childermass a lot. He's a really cool character. So before Jonathan, he doesn't really have friends. He's kind of awkward and not really very good at communicating with people. He's kind of unlikable and in some ways kind of relatable to the introvert experience, but he really comes out and challenges what the world thinks about magic and what magic should be and what it shouldn't be. And that's kind of the whole plot of the book. So I love this book. I want to read it again, but it's also like 1,000,000 pages, and I don't feel like reading that many pages, but also I kind of want to read it again. Question number 7, Pocahontas, a book with an ending that was a roller coaster of emotions. Now, I just picked a book that was just entirely a roller coaster of emotions, It's Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the last book in the Lunar Chronicles series. There is actually a book of novellas, short stories, I have yet to read. I do have it, but I haven't read Stars Above yet. Okay, Winter. I loved Winter. I loved Winter a lot. This one is 823 pages, I think. And every page on here had me so hooked. I read this whole thing in like 2 days because I couldn't put it down. Marissa Meyer knows how to tell a story, man. She knows how to tell a story. And this whole book was just an entire roller coaster of emotions. If you're unfamiliar, the Lunar Chronicles is a series of sci-fi fairy tale retellings. The first book, Cinder, follows a girl who is a cyborg, and she's a cyborg Cinderella, essentially. She has evil stepmother and stepsisters, and she meets the prince, and blah, 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 and it's just epic. And so the whole series is basically Cinder figuring out who she is while also encountering these other characters. Scarlet, who's Red Riding Hood, Cress, who is Rapunzel, and then Winter, who is introduced in this book, and I love with all of my heart. I love Winter and Jason. Cress and Thorn are my favorite Lunar Chronicles couple, but Winter and Jason, they're a really close second. I love them so much. Winter is Snow White, and it's so good. It's so good. I will forever be in awe of how Marissa Meyer retold the fairy tale, kept all of the elements of each one and put them completely on their heads and spun them in an entirely different way that kept me guessing the whole time. And I will be reading this series again at some point because it's a masterpiece. Like, it's so wonderfully done. If you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles yet, highly recommend. This whole book is a roller coaster of emotions, though, so be forewarned of that. Question 8 is Mulan, a book with a kick-butt female character. I love a good kick-butt female character. I love a good soft one, too, but the ones that can take care of themselves, I'm always a fan of. For this one, I chose Fox by Nadine Brandes, and particularly the character of Emma. There's actually several that I've already talked about their books that would apply for this, but Emma is so cool. Nadine Brandes is one of my favorite historical fantasy authors. She's only written 2 historical fantasies so far, but this book is so good. This book is so good. This is such a fascinating magic system. So the magic system in this book works with masks, which is why there's the stone mask on the front. We follow Thomas Fawkes, who is the son of Guy Fawkes, whom I was not that familiar with before I read this book because I think it's much more common in the UK to kind of know the story of Guy Fawkes, and they have like Guy Fawkes Day. I didn't know any of that before I went into this, but I was fascinated the whole time, and I have learned a lot about it since reading this book and going into the history and learning more about the actual event. But we follow Thomas, who is Guy Fawkes' son, and he is turning to stone. In this particular world, in this altered version of England that Nadine has created, the Black Plague is called the Stone Plague, and the Stone Plague turns people to stone. It's very self-explanatory. It's right there in the name. Thomas is turning to stone, and at the beginning of this book he encounters a problem because his father will not make him a mask. So it's this kind of thing where in this world your parent makes you a mask of a certain color. The different colors can do different things, and Thomas doesn't have one, and it's kind of a big shameful thing. But he encounters this girl named Emma, who is a brown mask, if I'm not mistaken, which can like control Earth, I think. It's been a while since I've read this one, but I love Emma so much. She is both a like debutante, socialite, I don't know the term I'm looking for, but she's part of a very prestigious family, and then also at night she's basically Batman. She does vigilante, brown mask justice, and she's the coolest. Like, I love Emma. Like, I liked the character of Thomas, okay, but my favorite character in here was hands down Emma. I definitely want to reread this one soon. It's been a little while, but this cover is just like so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, so Emma is definitely one of my favorite kick-butt female characters. Question number 9, my other fave, Rapunzel, a book that features an artist. So I actually had to do a lot of thinking about this one because I don't think I've read too many books that feature artists. I don't know why, that's just like not one that comes into my circle very often, I suppose. But as I was thinking about it, I did think of this one, not actually this one, Gathering Blue which is in here, but this is the whole quartet. Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. It's right there. Yeah. So this is the sequel to The Giver. I'm gonna actually put a cover here so I don't have to hold this giant book up. If you've read The Giver, you probably are like, wait, it has more books? Yes, it does, my friends, and they're all excellent. So Gathering Blue follows the story of Kira. Kira lives in a village where it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's tough. It's tough to make a life here in this village, and Kira has an even harder time. One of her legs doesn't really work right, but she is very skilled and talented with her hands. She weaves beautiful clothing and blankets, and she's just very skilled at her weaving, and that's part of what saves her in the end. She gets asked by the powers that be in this village to reconstruct this one garment that's very important to the festival at the end of the year. It's this huge deal, and it's a big honor, and everyone's kind of like, why does she get that honor? And I'm like, because she's talented. You wish you were her. Okay. So for this one, I thought, you know, that's kind of out of the box, but she is definitely an artist in her own way, and I love this book, and I've loved this book for years. So anytime I get a chance to inform the people that there's Giver sequels, I will do so. Gathering Blue is great. You should read it. Question number 10 is Merida, a book with a good mother-daughter relationship. I love a good relationship with parents in books. If you, listen, this is one of my favorite things to read about, is when characters have good relationships with their parents. The first one that I thought of for this was Little Women. Now this also could have applied, I almost used this for the artist question because Amy is a very talented artist, but I just love the relationship between Marmee and the girls. Like, I will never not love it. Marmee is an excellent fictional mother. She's one of my favorites. I just adore her, and I love how much she loves her girls and how she's always there for them, and I loved Little Women. I really did. Question 11 is Anna and Elsa, my other faves. A book with a great relationship between siblings. Now I, again, love a good sibling story. If you hand me a book with a good family relationship of any kind, found family, blood family, whatever, that will sell the book for me, honestly, most of the time. Like, I'm very easy to please when it comes to books. If you give me a good family relationship, 5 stars. No, not really. That's a little extreme, but you know what I mean? Like, I just, gets me in the feels every time. For this particular question of sibling relationships, I had to go with The Outsiders. Forgive my gross copy, it's falling apart. I got it for like 50 cents, and at some point I will buy a new one, but for now, this is what I've got. I don't know how to start describing my love for this book. I don't know how to tell you how to read it. If you haven't, you should read it. I know a lot of people read it for school. I did not read it for school, but this copy that I bought at the library sale, someone did read for school, so it's all marked up. I actually enjoy this. I think it was a girl, judging by the way that it's written, but I actually really enjoyed hearing her thoughts, as clearly she was preparing to write a book report on this book. This is not a book that on paper would be one of my favorites. It follows a group of greasers in the 1960s. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes down. It's a lot of social change and stuff and brotherhood and tears. A lot of tears. The way S.E. Hinton writes is everything, and this is the only book of hers that I've read, but her writing style is so perfect for the story that she's telling, and it's just stunning. I've read this a couple of times now, and I just love it. But for the question, because we're going to come back into the tag, for the question of sibling relationships, the relationship between Derry, Soda, and Ponyboy is just everything. It makes me cry, it makes me smile, I love them so much. And last but certainly not least, question number 12 is Tiana, a book with a character who puts their dreams above romance. For this one, I went with The Clockwork Scarab by Colleen Gleason. This is the first book in the Stoker and Holmes series, and I'm actually going to read you the synopsis because it describes it better than I ever could, so we're going to read it from here. Eveline Stoker and Mina Holmes never meant to get into the family business, but when you're the sister of Bram and the niece of Sherlock, vampire hunting and mystery solving are in your blood. so to speak. And when two young society girls disappear, one dead, one missing, there's no one more qualified to investigate. Now fierce Eveline and logical Mina must resolve their rivalry, navigate the advances of not just one but three mysterious gentlemen, and solve a murder with only one clue, a strange Egyptian scarab. The pressure is on and the stakes are high. If Stoker and Holmes don't figure out why London's finest 16-year-old women are in danger, they'll become the next victims. Bum, 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 bum. This is like a steampunk mystery and it's a lot of fun. Like it said, following the niece of Sherlock Holmes and the sister of Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula, if you're not unfamiliar with the name. It's so much fun. But like it said in the synopsis, they are dealing with not one, but three eligible young men. But yeah, Mina just does not care about having any romance. She's like, I'm here to solve a mystery. I don't have time for boys. And you know what? We applaud her for it. Okay, so that is all of the questions for the book tag. Like I said before, I will leave them all in the description, so if you want to do this tag yourself, feel free to join in and you can say that I tagged you. Let me know also in a comment if you've read any of these books or if you're going to read any of these books on my great recommendation. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for more Disney magic and more bookish magic, because I'm going to be making more bookish videos soon, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!